What if I told you that as far back as the 1930s, first a guy named Charles Pogge invented a high mileage carburetor that fully vaporized gasoline before it entered combustion and had 200 miles per gallon capacity. So
in a regular motor vehicle, he was able to tinker with the engine and the emission system so that a regular gallon of gas could get you 200 miles.
Yes, in the 1930s. This was in Canada. He did this. Oil stocks crashed, and then miraculously, his workshop was raided, broken into. His documents were stolen. He stopped working on the stuff and got a high-paying job as managing an oil company.
Oh, okay.
Look at that.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, and then next after that, so there was this thing called the Invention Secrecy Act in 1951 where the government requires certain patent applications that contain sensitive information to be restricted and put under government supervision. So, and if you violate it, you could face imprisonment. So there's 6,000 patents that are under this right now that people just aren't allowed to use. It's like technology that's too crazy for people to.
Can you read them, or reading of the information of the patents is forbidden?
Yes.
They're always related to. I mean, they're supposed to always be related to national security. Meaning, okay, we don't want to teach you how to make a nuke,
right?
Or give up the patent for how we, do fission. We don't want to, disclose anything around how some of our top secret tech is laced together and brought. Basically our ability to be the most powerful military in the world. That's the kind of stuff that's supposed to be in there. But as we all know, there's a lot of chicanery that's happened since the 20s and 30s, especially around energy in particular.
Yeah, so there's a long list of people here with stuff like this. So in 1997, New York Times article was very excited to see that a guy named Tom Ogle created an engine that was able to achieve 100 miles per gallon. And then he ended up facing legal troubles, being investigated by the SEC, the IRS. They were jamming him up. And he got a $25 million offer from Shell Oil to buy his patent, rejected it, so then gets shot, survives the gun shooting, and then died from via poisoning.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Legit poisoning.
What was the guy's name?
I've seen
Tom
this
Ogle.
So they allegedly, he was shot. We don't know who shot him, but he was shot. That didn't work, so they then poisoned him.
Yes.
After trying to find him,
and
investigate him.
They tried everything, and then
so nothing worked. They got poison. It sounds like that's what Putin does.
Yeah,
right? He poisons his political opponents.
And if I'm remembering what you said correctly, that's just for an engine that was half as effective as the one the guy built in the 30s.
Yeah.
No, this one was 100 miles per gallon.
The other one was 200.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Good call.
Half as effective as what they made in the 30s. And okay, we got to poison that guy to stop it. Even 100's too much.
Exactly. Then this clip you guys could play of this guy, Charles Brown, he also invented an engine that cut emissions by 50 to 70% and actually got attacked by the EPA for some reason.
Treat air, and out of air, I make it more than just providing oxygen for the combustion process. There are combustion stimulating molecules and radicals generated in this process. Thunderstorm in a bottle.
Next one.
Environmental Protection Agency is a bit of a dictatorial police agency. They call themselves a protecting agency, but they are a police agency. EPA cannot approve a fuel-saving device. They put out reams of documentation stating that something will not work.
So they pretty much crushed what he was trying to do. And his lab was also vandalized, and he lost his life savings.
Why is this happening if they're making these great invention that would save us time, money, gas, our environment? Why would they be targeted?
Well, think about who gets hurt if this happens. In the 30s, the oil stock started to crash. And, think about how big the oil industry is. It would instantly destabilize the Middle East. It would render the people like the Rockefellers poor overnight.
Because it's less expensive, because it's lasting longer and getting you farther?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and then so these guys, you still needed some degree of oil or gas for these inventions. But then this next guy in the 90s, Stanley Meyer, he created an engine that ran just off water. You could literally pour tap water into your engine, and it can run for hundreds of miles.
Stop.
Check this out.
Our new Here at 6 o'clock, an age-old dream becoming a reality. A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
The answer to dependence on foreign oil lies all around us.
A car that runs on water instead of gasoline.
The man who invented an engine that can run on water.
Any kind of H2O, he says, can power just about every type of engine.
He's come up with a device that will hook up to any engine and allow it to run on good old H2O.
Stanley Meyer.
Been offered $1 billion in cash by oil-producing countries.
Offered $1 billion in cash
By who?
by Saudi Arabia, oil-producing countries.
Same thing.
For the
Trying to
rights to the
control
patent.
it.
Yeah, because you know that crushes them. That like not only like so the other ones was bad enough that they needed far less oil, but this one you need no oil, so you're rendered useless. Like imagine what would happen to Saudi Arabia if oil was no longer needed just overnight.
And what happened to Stanley?
Yeah. What happened to this guy? He's gone.
Here we go.
Yes, so he received multiple offers, was investigated by governments, and then was having dinner one night about to sell or go into business with a company to streamline this thing, and then all of a sudden he gets up, starts choking, like runs outside and collapses and dies, screaming that he was poisoned, screaming "they got me" as his last words. But the autopsy said that he had a brain aneurysm from natural causes.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was he
Totally
like
checks
eating
out.
at a diner or something like that, doing a deal? I remember
Yeah.
hearing about this story, and then walks out into the road and just collapses
So
from
how
not
does-
being able to breathe and is gagging.
Yeah.
So how does the autopsy say brain aneurysm if he's choking?
Because the people who were upset about this have a lot of influence. If they have enough influence to poison them at a random restaurant, they could, twist an autopsy person's arm to say something different. Probably, I would imagine.
Yeah, we never doctored any autopsies in this country ever, JFK.
George Floyd didn't have enough fentanyl to kill a horse in his system at the time of his death. We just gloss over that one. Too.
And that's why I don't believe. Sorry to go back to it, but that's why I don't believe the story about John Barnett committing
Exactly.
suicide. They still are investigating it 2 months later. They didn't release the GPR report whether he had gunpowder residue on his hands, so they could doctor any autopsy
and
for anybody.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so if if those are the odds for that one for two people, like in a similar situation, like we're
3.
This list is like 10 people deep, and we're just getting
Oh
started.
my gosh!
So, but this guy also had another crazy thing in his garage that they found after he died. So he had something that it ran on no energy at all, and it actually broke the second law of thermodynamics, which states that every time you transfer energy, energy is wasted. So this gets into Nikola Tesla's, like what he discovered, I think it was like 1910s, that there's energy all around us in the universe, and that you could like harness it and then power anything. So you'd skip this one and go to the next clip, and this guy kind of breaks it down.
So-called empty space isn't really empty at all. It's actually full of energy. So instead of being like kind of a quiet, empty lake, it's more like the froth at the base of a waterfall or something. But when you go to look at the numbers, you find out that there's enough energy in the volume of a coffee cup to say, evaporate all the world's oceans if you could get at all of it.
Yeah. So you could, like Tesla discovered, you could basically like stick a rod into the ground and extract energy from the ionosphere, and you could have infinite energy just from the universe. And energy is the most important thing in the economy. So you look like you have a question.
Here's my question. So these 3 died, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is that why nobody is like? How has nobody recreated any of these inventions?
Others have tried here. So Floyd Sweet also tried to harness this infinite energy, faced threats, harassment, and even died. And then he eventually died under mysterious circumstances, being approached by unidentified individuals. Howard Johnson created a magnet motor that ran for 20 years straight, only losing 2% efficiency, but was denied a patent, shunned by the scientific community, financially destroyed. Thomas Murray created a device that could generate 50,000 watts of power with no visible energy input, also breaking the second law of thermodynamics. Faced multiple assassination attempts. His lab was vandalized and died without seeing his invention recognized under mysterious circumstances again. Edwin Gray also created a motor that could run on continuous power. After an illegal raid on his lab by authorities, his equipment and records were all confiscated, and he was found dead shortly afterward. And then
Oh my gosh.
Salvador Pais created a device that can manipulate gravity, similar to UFOs, so like the anti-gravity machines that we've heard about. And unlike other inventors, his stuff was picked up by the government, by the Navy specifically, but it's not in the public eye.
So then why hasn't anybody tried to kill Elon Musk if he's changing the way cars are being
Because they don't
made?
kill you physically anymore. It's now character assassination.
He's smart enough to not tamper with the that actual stuff that's crazy. So he knows that solar is not the way to actually do it. Like solar is incredibly inefficient, but he knows that he'll get murdered if he tries to do what Tesla actually did. Because what Tesla was working on was a million times more advanced than what Elon Musk is doing as a source of power. They kill you if you do it.
What I wanted to bring up as well, because if you look at it, like they want us off of oil, or at least they claim
they
to.
don't.
We won't have oil in 40 years.
Really, but like the ostensibly anyway, they say they want us on clean renewables. They want us on electric vehicles and hydro, wind, and solar powered everything. But once again, they have turned away from the most effective way to do that, which is nuclear. They don't want us using nuclear energy. They want us these crazy, ridiculous things that are impossible to pull off at scale. They're just, we'll just cover this entire mountain in solar panels and it'll give you enough power to turn your toaster on for 5 minutes. But if you go over, then we're going to throw you in jail.
The essence of it is control, though, because they like to control what you're able to do, your ability of transportation. But from what these people are saying, there's energy abundant all around us, like the same way the air is abundant. But then, what level of control would they have over us if we could just access energy constantly and have these vehicles that could just run perpetually off of everything that's around us?
Yeah.
That collapses every bit of the control they have over us.
And think about it, what it does for environmental regulations as well, because there was just a report that came out a little while ago that actually electric vehicles are worse for the environment than gas-powered ones, in part because of all the mining that goes into making, like getting the cobalt and everything for the batteries, but also because an EV is so much heavier. Most of the emissions from a car are actually not tailpipe emissions. They're brake dust and tire particulate that come as it drives. Because EVs are so much heavier, there's more wear and tear on the brakes, more emissions from that, even though there's no tailpipe on it. So EVs are worse. But they want to push us all into those because it's easier to control that way.
Well, as a guy that drives an EV, it's crazy. I'll take your word for it, but I can tell you Tesla has regenerative braking, which means it runs like a golf cart, right? You push the pedal down, the vehicle goes. You let off, you don't hit the brakes, the vehicle just slows down because you're not using the battery. So I don't understand how the EV, because Tesla owns the market in EVs, right? There's more Teslas than there are any other EV out there. Yep. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So if are people not using the regenerative braking? It's my favorite part of it. It's like driving a big golf cart. Just go, oh, cool. Now I'm not
Braking.
using gas. Yeah. And I'm not using brake power.
No, yeah, but they don't give a shit about the environment, though. I mean, they care about the electric stuff because, they have a kill switch on. They could lock you out of your car or they could track where you're going. That's why they're pushing it. But they don't care about the climate in any measurable way because, if they did, they would recognize these things have been created for the last 100 years. But they know that these people have been killed for creating this stuff. So, I mean, people like AOC, they're just trying to gain like a mechanism of control over people and like a way to extract wealth from people and not let them be able to have freedom of transportation.